Hello everybody, welcome to another sew along with me this afternoon. It's a corset inspired belt in that it's structurally made in a similar way to a corset could be made, but it doesn't cinch or change your shape or your size in a way that a corset would. So it's a really nice little thing to wear as a little bit as a decorative design sort of feature to add to an outfit. That has corsetry details on it, but without wearing a full-on corset day to day. So this is my one that I made for myself, and I love wearing it because it's so nice and comfy, and it just adds that little bit of a detail when you don't want to wear a full corset. But it's quite a simple design, as you can see. If I fold it around, you can see that. So that is how it fastens. So you have the nice points at the front, and then you have the band around the back, and then it attaches with the lacing details. And what I love about this is that I can swap the lacing ribbons out and wear, put a different colour in to match with different outfits. So I find it a really nice, really versatile piece. If I show you a bit closer, you can see there's little boning channels on the front there. It's kind of inspired by Edwardian boned waistbands that you see in the early 20th century, but obviously put a little bit more of a modern twist on it with the lacy details, not really something that you see in period designs. So the boning channels do have steel bones in. I like using steel bones so they don't curl in the way that cheap plastic boning does, and I always have steel boning in stock for when I'm doing proper corsetry. So it's there and it's handy for me to use, and I like the effect and the feel of it. The back of the the back of the item, the back of the waistband is made with corsetry coutil, so it gives a nice sturdy structured base fabric. And then on the front I've actually used on this one, it's a silk dupion and then satin for the boning channels and satin around the edges. Which gives a really nice sleek effect. You can make them so that it's reversible as well. I could wear it that way around if I wanted to, or I could put another fabric on the back here to give me two looks in one. Then the back section of the belt, waistband belt, is just a simple length of fabric. Double layered again with the corsetry coutil and the silk, and then finished off with the edging detail. This particular one that I made for me is one of the first ones I made. Doesn't have any additional boning in it, but I think that's something that I'm going to change on this next version that I'm doing, mainly to give a little bit of support each side of the lacing eyelets, so it stops them creating that if I pull it sort of taut there. Obviously it's not designed to be laced tight in the way that of course it would be, but you want it tight enough to give that effect of a little bit of a cinch, but you do get those line striations on it, and that's because there's no boning structure either side of the eyelet channel, so there's a lot of strain put on that material there. So that's something that I'm going to change, and I might add a couple of bones just to give a little bit of support in the back as well. Again, you can see where I've worn it, and it has rucked up and creased a little bit as I've worn it, moved, bent over, things like that. So again, add a little bit more boning in there, just to give it a little bit more structural support. But I don't want to overdo the boning, as I say, it's still got to be a comfortable garment. It's still a belt at the end of the day, as opposed to a full-on corset. So what am I actually making in terms of colours? Now the friend in question is a massive Disney fan, and she, like me, if you know me, you know I'm a massive Disney fan as well, but she does something called Disneybounding, which is, if you've not heard of it, is basically taking a Disney character and dressing like them but not in a costume. It's taking modern fashion, modern items of clothing, and using colours and styling with accessories that give the look and feel of the character but without actually dressing up in a costume. Because when you visit Disney parks, they have a very strict age policy where no one over the age of 12 can wear a costume to the parks, obviously to help preserve character integrity of their employees who obviously work at the parks as the characters. So yeah, so we're she is after a little something to wear to the parks, which I said I could help with. She's actually an ear maker, if you're interested. If you go to parks and you wear your Disney Mickey ears, she makes wonderful ear designs, and she made some for me for a recent trip that we went on. In exchange, that I'm going to make her this little belt, which is going to work for one of her outfits for a future trip. So her idea is to go as a kind of a steampunk Esmerelda from Hunchback of Notre Dame. So you perhaps start to see if you know the character, and I might insert a picture somewhere in here. You can see where the corsetry element is starting to come in, but understandably she doesn't want to wear a full-on corset to the parks, you know, to go on rides and run around and have fun all day. So we're going to do a little corset belt for her, and it's going to have the colours that will match in with her outfit, which will give the impression of being Esmeralda. And so because she wants to have that steampunk twist on it as well, I do a lot of steampunk outfits and go to a lot of steampunk events myself, so I thought I was pretty well placed to help her out with her steampunk version of this outfit. So what are we doing? So first of all, we have, oh, it's a big, I don't need this much fabric, but this is fabric I've got in stuff. So it's a lovely dark blue teal. This is one of my taffetas. So this will be from the basis for the belt. And then I have a teeny tiny scrap of gold silk bias binding left over from a project. And that's going to make the boning channels on there as well. You can see that's lovely contrast on there. So that's the base colours. I've also got some satin ribbon which just about matches this colour as well, so that'll be used for the lacing, and then we'll do some gold eyelets to tie it all together. Well, as per my other belt, I'm going to be using sturdy cotton corsetry coutil to create the basis, the base layer and the strength layer for the belt as well. So let's get to work, shall we? So the first job is to obviously take the pins out of here, flatline the pieces together so we can treat them as individual, single pieces of fabric. And then I need to run this strip of bias through my bias binding maker with the iron to make nice flat channels for the boning. So let's go. So these are my bias binding makers. If you've not seen them before, so they're simple tubes of metal that you feed your strip of fabric through, and it folds it over for you as you feed it through, and then you use the iron as it comes out to press it flat in place. They come in different sizes, so you can create different widths of bias binding. I've got a 12mm and an 18mm, and I'm just debating which one to use based on the strip of fabric that I've already got cut. And the thickness of the boning that I'd like to put in as well. I think I'm going to give the 18mm a try, just because by the time I've stitched it down on each side, obviously it's going to create a slightly smaller channel for the actual boning itself. Anyway, it might make a bit more sense when I come to that bit. But yeah, I'm going to go for the 18mm, I think. So there we are, that is our bias binding tape. So yeah, the only bit I'm a bit concerned about is here where there's two lengths of the fabric have been joined, and it's a little bit thin where it's folded over, but because I'm only using such tiny little lengths of channeling on the belt, I'll probably be able to not need to use that bit, so we won't have to worry. But yeah, I am still going to put these two pieces together, flatline them essentially to create a single piece, but what I want to do first is I need to seam down these edges here, and the same on this piece as well, to create the edge where the eyelets are going to be. Basically turn it through on itself and stitch it down, so that'll create a small boning channel just next to where the eyelets are going to be, and that will be what gives me my strength for the eyelets. I can show you on here. This is my original one. Can you see there? So I think what it may have been on when I was originally making these, I may have been a little bit lazy, or I'd run out of boning and didn't put the boning in this edge here. But yes, that's essentially what I'm going to do, is basically stitch down here, turn it through, re-stitch down and insert boning in there before I finish off the edging, and then I'm going to apply the boning channels onto the outside. Okay, so that is the channels all sewn in place. I think that's looking really pretty, and that's the channels on the back there. You have to excuse the messy threads around the edge. Obviously that's all going to get encased in bias binding as well, so you're not going to see anything like that. Will look not neater. But the next stage now is to cut the boning and insert it in the channels before we can start to do the finishing off. Okay, so this is the spiral steel boning that I use for my corsetry. There's some more in there as well. I've got two whips here. I've got this very narrow 7mm, and then I have 18mm, I think, yeah, 18mm in there as well. And then to cut it, we need some heavy duty pliers with snips on them. And then I've got some needle-nosed pliers there as well, which I use to put the caps on the end of the boning to stop the sharp bits poking through the fabric. So what I need to do is measure my channels. So I'm going to start with these little pieces on here. So what we need to do is measure, get the right end of the tape measure. We need to leave enough space on each end. Hold that up. So on each end of the channel we've got to stitch the bias binding edging round, so we don't want that stitching line to be going through the steel bone, because you're not going to, obviously that's not going to work. So we have to make sure the bone is shorter by about 1 centimetre. So I'm going to be making that about 6 centimetres, I think. Yeah, teeny tiny bone of 6 centimetres. I'm going to need to fix it on that. You will find that you very rarely can actually cut it all the way through. So the aim is, if you can get at least, oh, there we go, that's actually snapped quite easily, which is a rare. I bet you the next ones won't cut as easily as that. So yeah, because it works as a spiral, you've just got to cut through one of the pieces of wire, and it will essentially undo itself and should come apart. Right. So that's the first two, so now we'll cut those. So those are the caps for the spiral steel boning, and you'll see they slot on like so, and then we need to use the pliers to squeeze it on and clamp it in place. Like so. Focus. Sort of. Maybe. There we go. You can see that's on there quite securely. And that stops those sharp bits where we've cut the wires from poking through the fabric and causing injury. Both ends done there. So I'm straight away going to insert those into the channels so I don't lose them or get them mixed up and know exactly where they are. Okay, so the next stage is to put the bias binding around the top and bottom edge on each of the pieces. Oh, and I'm really sorry if you can't see this very well, because I know the light's behind me coming through the window, but I have got a light in front, hoping it will behave itself and you'll be able to see. So yeah, this light is shining on my machine at the moment, so I am sorry about that. But we shouldn't knock the fact that the sunshine is actually shining. Enjoy it while it's here. So that is one finished edge on there. Let's flip it around. So it needs a little bit more of a tidy up on the back. But yeah, let's get all the other edges done. Okay, so that is the edges, all nice and neatly bound on both parts there. And you can see I have an extra line of stitching along each edge, which is where we're going to put the eyelets, which is our next job. So we've got a bone right in the edge here. The eyelets will go in between these two lines of stitching, and then you've got that extra line of stitching there, which just helps reinforce and anchor the eyelets so that when they're under strain, they're not pulling too much on the fabric of this panel here. So let's do that. So that's the first rows of eyelet put in. Well, the holes for the eyelets, and then we'll change over the dies in the machine to press the actual eyelets themselves in. So these are the eyelets, and they have little tiny washers. Oop, I'm trying to drop it. That goes over the top of them too, and sandwiches the fabric in between to give a nice finish and strengthens the eyelet as well. You can buy eyelets that they kind of, when you press them, the top edge kind of rolls over and presses itself down on the fabric, but I tend to find that it's not as strong as these ones with the extra washers, and they can sometimes be a bit rough as well, because basically it splits the metal, and that can sometimes catch on the ribbon or wherever you're threading through the eyelet. So I like to use these ones with the washers because it gives a much smoother finish. So that's the new finished eyelets on there. So the final job is to just lace the ribbons through the eyelets. Nearly there. There we are, that's the finished belt. So I really hope my friend likes it, and I think it will be the perfect finishing touch for her steampunk inspired Esmerelda from Hunchback of Notre Dame Disneybound. If you've liked my video, please do give it a big thumbs up and like and subscribe to find out when my next videos are. And I'll hopefully see you soon in another sewing video. Bye! This angle is really awful. I fail as a vlogger, I know, I'm sorry, I'm still learning, bear with me. Let's try this again.